Stop living like a tenant in a prison built by your past. Most of you are settling for a story of why you can't, while your true potential is screaming to be let out. If you want to take the island, you have to burn the boats of your excuses right here, right now. Are you ready to step into the version of you that is too much for the world to handle? Let's go. The architecture of certainty is the fundamental structure of the human experience. Yet it is often the very thing that keeps us paralyzed in mediocrity. We have to understand that a belief is not a fact. It is not a literal reflection of the world around us. Instead, a belief is simply a feeling of absolute certainty about what something means. Most people walk through life assuming their limitations are the truth, but in reality, they are just interpretations that have been reinforced over time. Think of a belief like a tabletop. To make a table stable, you need legs to support it. In the world of psychology and peak performance, those legs are your references, the experiences, the conversations, and the moments of pain or pleasure that you've used to prop up a specific idea. If you tell yourself, "I'm not good at business," you'd probably find 4 or 5 legs to support that table. A failed project in college, a harsh word from a former boss, or a moment of financial struggle. The danger is that once we have enough legs under that table, the belief becomes a conviction. It enters our nervous system and starts to operate on autopilot. We stop questioning whether the legs are actually solid or if they are made of rotten wood. We fail to realize that for every reference we have that says, "I can't," there are 1,000 other potential references we are ignoring that prove "I can." This architecture is internal, which means it is within your power to dismantle it. Most people are soft with their beliefs. They treat them as if they are etched in stone by some divine hand. But certainty is a state you create, not a state that happens to you. To break a limiting belief, you have to shake the table. You have to aggressively question the validity of the references. Was that failure actually a sign of permanent inadequacy, or was it just a lack of strategy in that specific moment? By attacking the legs of the table with logic, with emotion, and with new, higher quality references, the entire structure begins to wobble. When you collapse the old architecture of certainty, you create a vacuum. In that space, you have the opportunity to build a new table, a new belief system, supported by references of your strength, your resilience, and your untapped potential. You must become the architect of your own certainty rather than a tenant in a prison built by your past. The identity prison is the most restrictive cage ever constructed. Yet its bars are entirely invisible because they are woven into the very fabric of who you think you are. Most people live their lives within a narrow box of "I am" statements. They say, "I am a procrastinator," "I am not a math person," or "I am just not a leader." The moment you attach your identity to a limitation, you give your nervous system a command to stay consistent with that definition. Human beings have an ultimate psychological need to remain consistent with their own self-image. If you believe you are a quiet person, you will physically feel uncomfortable if you start acting bold or loud, not because being bold is wrong, but because it violates the box you built for yourself. This is the invisible governor on the engine of your life. You can have all the talent, all the resources, and all the opportunity in the world, but if your identity is set to struggling, you will unconsciously find a way to sabotage your success to stay true to that internal map. We must understand that identity is not a static birthmark. It is a social and psychological construct that we have rehearsed since childhood. You likely adopted your current identity based on the expectations of your parents, the criticisms of your parents, or a few traumatic moments where you decided it was safer to be small than to be seen. Over time, this becomes a comfortable prison. It's comfortable because it's predictable. You know exactly how a failure acts, so you keep acting that way, because the unknown, the version of you that is powerful, disciplined, and unstoppable, is terrifyingly unfamiliar. To break this, you have to realize that you are not your past, and you are certainly not your current set of habits. You are the force that directs them. Shifting your identity requires a radical expansion of that box. You have to begin defining yourself not by where you have been, but by the vision of where you are going. When you shift the "I am," the behavior follows automatically. If you truly believe, "I am a world-class athlete," you don't have to struggle to go to the gym. It's just what you do. The identity prison only holds power as long as you agree to the terms of your incarceration. The moment you decide that your current identity is just a story you've outgrown, the walls begin to crumble and you gain the freedom to step into a magnitude of life that matches your true potential. The power of incantations is the explosive bridge between intellectual knowledge and emotional mastery. Most people understand the concept of affirmations, those weak passive sentences you mutter to yourself while looking in the mirror, hoping something sticks. But an affirmation is a lie if your body doesn't believe it. If you say, "I am wealthy," while your shoulders are slumped and your voice is trembling, your nervous system registers the incongruity and rejects the thought. An incantation is entirely different. It is a full force physiological takeover. It is the act of using your voice, your breath, and your entire physical being to command a new state of certainty into existence. You aren't just reciting words, you are shouting them into the fiber of your soul with such intensity that your brain has no choice but to rewire itself. This is about biological priming. When you change your physiology, your posture, your breathing pattern, your facial expressions, you change your biochemistry. You move from a state of hesitation to a state of absolute conviction in a matter of seconds. By using repetitive, powerful language combined with radical physical movement, you create a pattern interrupt that shatters the old looping recordings of doubt in your head. You are literally conditioning your nervous system to feel bold, to feel resilient, and to feel unstoppable. It's the difference between thinking about a fire and actually being the flame. When you engage in an incantation, you are signaling to your brain that the old story of "I can't" is dead and a new identity is being born right now. This isn't just positive thinking, it's practical neurobiology. You are building a highway of confidence where there used to be a dirt path of fear. If you want to change your life, you have to change your state. And the fastest way to change your state is to use your body as a weapon against your own limitations. You must speak your future into existence with such authority that your past becomes irrelevant. You repeat it, you feel it, and you anchor it into your muscles until it becomes your default setting. Most people are waiting to feel good before they take action, but the masters of life know that you must demand the feeling first. You use the incantation to summon the Jia, anti within, ensuring that when you step out into the world, you aren't hoping for success. You are carrying the certainty of it in every cell of your body. Massive action is the ultimate execution of power and the only true antidote to the paralysis of analysis that keeps most people small. You see, insight is the booby prize of life. You can understand why you're stuck. You can analyze your childhood and you can map out your limiting beliefs until you're blue in the face, but knowledge without action is nothing more than a refined form of procrastination. If you want to kill a limiting belief, you don't just think it away, you drown it in results. You have to realize that the moment you make a real decision, a true cutoff from any other possibility, it must be followed by immediate massive action. This isn't about taking one little step and seeing how it feels. It's about a radical, relentless pursuit that overwhelms the problem. When you take massive action, you signal to your nervous system that the old story is dead and the new identity is non-negotiable. You create a momentum that is so powerful it begins to feed on itself. Most people fail because they try things. They dip a toe in the water to see if it's cold, but trying is just a noisy way of saying, I'm giving myself an out. If you want to take the island, you burn the boats. Massive action changes your biochemistry and your belief system faster than any book or seminar ever could, because it provides the legs of reference we talked about earlier. When you act with intensity, you produce results. And those results become the new evidence that proves you are capable of more than new evidence. It's a virtuous cycle. Action creates results. Results create confidence, and confidence fuels even greater action. The first thing you try doesn't work, you don't stop and whine about it. You change your approach. You stay flexible in your method, but remain obsessed with your outcome. You keep hitting that door until it breaks down, or you find a new way into the building. The world is full of smart people who are broke, lonely, and miserable because they are waiting for the perfect time or the perfect plan. Newsflash, perfection is the lowest standard on earth because it's unachievable, and it's just a fancy word for fear. The masters of life are those who are willing to be messy, to be loud, and to move with such speed and force that the universe has no choice but to get out of their way. You must commit to a level of action that is totally disproportionate to the problem. When you do that, you don't just break a limiting belief, you annihilate the environment where it was allowed to live.